Imagine being so ugly that scientists literally named you the Blobfish, or having teeth so messed up that sailors thought you came straight from hell. The ocean is wild, guys, and it's hiding creatures so bizarre that they make your weirdest nightmare look like a Disney character. Today we're diving deep, and I mean deep, into the darkest, strangest parts of the ocean to show you 10 creatures so bizarre that most marine biologists have never even seen them in person. Number 4 literally glows in the dark and eats prey 3 times its size. Like, how? Stick around because these aren't your average Finding Nemo characters. These are the rejects that evolution forgot to delete. Let's kick things off with a fish that basically has a see-through head. I'm not even joking. The Barreleye fish lives about 2,500 feet below the surface, where it's darker than your ex's heart. And get this, its entire skull is transparent. Imagine if the top of your head was made of glass and everyone could see your brain. That's basically this fish's everyday reality. But here's where it gets even weirder. Its eyes aren't on the sides of its head like normal fish. They're inside its transparent dome pointing upward. These tubular eyes can rotate inside its clear head to look for prey swimming above. Hey Bob, have you seen my eye? Yeah Dave, they're literally inside your transparent skull. These fish can grow up to 6 inches long and were first discovered in 1939, but scientists didn't realize their heads were transparent until 2004 because the dome would collapse whenever they were brought to the surface. Talk about a bad hair day. And the craziest part, these fish steal food from the dangerous tentacles of siphonophores, these massive jellyfish-like colonies that would absolutely destroy most other creatures. The barreleye just casually swims up, says thanks for the snack, and steals their prey. Coming in at number 9 is a creature that sounds like it belongs in a Twilight movie, the vampire squid. But don't worry, it's not going to suck your blood or sparkle in the sunlight. This deep sea nightmare grows to about 1 foot long and has a name that literally translates to vampire squid from hell. Marketing team really knocked it out of the park with that one. Despite its terrifying name, the vampire squid is actually one of the gentlest creatures on our list. It doesn't hunt or chase prey. It's basically the ocean's vacuum cleaner collecting marine snow, which is just a fancy way of saying dead stuff and poop that floats down from above. But here's the insane part. When threatened, this little vampire turns itself inside out. It has webbing between its arms that it can flip over its entire body, creating this spiky inside-out umbrella of nope. And if that wasn't enough, it has light-producing organs called photophores all over its body, over 100 of them. When predators approach, it puts on a light show that would make EDM festivals jealous. Scientists call this defense mechanism the fish confusion tactic, but I call it the what the heck is that? Honestly, I use the same tactic at parties when someone I don't want to talk to approaches. Just turn myself inside out and flash bizarre lights until they leave me alone. If you've ever wondered what it would look like if a shark got hit in the face with a shovel and then grew a chainsaw nose, meet the Goblin Shark. This prehistoric looking nightmare can grow up to 12 feet long and has a face that only a mother could love. Then if that mother was blind and had no sense of touch. Goblin sharks have been around for 125 million years. They were swimming around while T-Rex was stomping on land. They're basically living fossils, which explains why they look like evolution gave up halfway through designing them. But the truly nightmare-inducing feature is their jaws. When a goblin shark spots prey, its entire mouth, I'm talking the whole jaw structure, shoots forward out of its face like something from the Alien movies. Their jaws can extend almost their entire head length in less than 1/10 of a second. Imagine if you were eating at a restaurant and suddenly your entire mouth shot 2 feet forward to grab your burrito. That's the goblin shark's whole dining experience. And get this, they've been found at depths of over 4,000 feet. But scientists think they can go even deeper. The ocean is essentially hiding these monsters where we can't find them, and honestly, thank you, ocean. You've probably seen memes of this next creature, but there's way more to the story than just its unfortunate appearance. The blobfish was famously voted the world's ugliest animal in 2013, which seems a bit harsh considering it doesn't actually look like that in its natural habitat. That saggy, melted face we all know. That's what happens when you take a deep-sea fish adapted to extreme pressure and bring it up to the surface. In its natural environment, about 3,000 feet below sea level, the blobfish actually looks like a pretty normal fish. fish. Its body contains a gelatinous mass that's slightly less dense than water, which lets it float above the seafloor without spending energy swimming. But when you bring it to the surface, the extreme pressure change causes its body to quite literally melt into that sad blob we all know and love to make fun of. It's like taking a human to space without a spacesuit and then judging their appearance. Not cool, guys. So next time you see that meme, pour one out for the blobfish. It's not ugly, it's just in the wrong place. Here's something wild though. Scientists know almost nothing about how these fish reproduce or what they eat. They're so hard to study in their natural habitat that the blobfish remains one of the ocean's biggest mysteries. For all we know, they could be throwing underwater raves every Friday night. Number 6 on our list is basically what would happen if you crossed a shark with an eel and threw in some nightmare fuel, the frilled shark. This 6-foot-long predator has been swimming in our oceans for about 80 million years, making it another living fossil that time forgot to update. It gets its name from its 6 pairs of frilly gill slits that look like a fancy Elizabethan collar. But the real horror show is inside its mouth. The frilled shark has over 300 teeth arranged in 25 rows, and these aren't your standard shark teeth. They're backward-facing, trident-shaped nightmares designed to make sure that once something goes in its mouth, it never comes out. Scientists rarely see these creatures alive because they typically live between 400 and 4,000 feet below the surface. When fishermen occasionally catch them in their nets, they often mistake them for sea serpents because of their strange, elongated bodies. And here's something that will make you glad you're not a frilled shark baby. Their gestation period is estimated to be 3.5 years. That's the longest pregnancy of any vertebrate on Earth. Imagine carrying your kids for that long. Mom, when are we coming out? Another 2 years, sweetie. Mommy needs wine. Okay, imagine if a roly-poly bug decided to take steroids and move to the deep sea. That's basically the giant isopod. These massive crustaceans can grow up to 16 inches long and are essentially the deep sea version of the pill bugs you find in your garden, except about 4,000 times bigger. If you found one of these in your backyard, you'd be on the phone with Ghostbusters and the Pentagon. Giant isopods live on the ocean floor at depths of 550 to 7,000 feet, where they scavenge for dead animals that sink from above. They have this amazing ability to go for years without eating. One giant isopod in a Japanese aquarium went over 5 years without eating a single bite before finally passing away. Despite their terrifying appearance, they're actually pretty harmless unless you're a dead fish. They spend most of their time walking slowly across the ocean floor on their 14 legs looking for their next meal. But here's the weirdest part, some people actually eat these things. In Taiwan, they're occasionally served as a delicacy. At number 4, we have a fish that definitely didn't learn about portion control, the black swallower. This deep sea fish is only about 10 inches long, but it can eat prey more than twice its size. Imagine a house cat swallowing an entire German shepherd. That's basically what we're dealing with here. The black swallower has an incredibly distensible stomach that can expand to hold massive prey. Its mouth and jaw are also oversized, allowing it to literally vacuum up fish much larger than itself. But here's where the black swallower's ambition becomes its downfall. These fish sometimes try to eat prey so large that the prey actually begins to decompose inside the black swallower's stomach before it can be digested. The resulting bacterial decomposition produces gases that make the fish float to the surface. Essentially, they explode from the inside out because they ate too much. We've all been there after Thanksgiving dinner, but this is on another level. Scientists often find dead black swallowers floating on the surface with their stomachs burst open and partially digested fish still inside them. It's literally a case of eyes bigger than stomach turned deadly. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, black swallowers have bioluminescent organs that produce light, possibly to attract prey or mates in the dark depths where they live, between 2,300 and 9,000 feet below the surface. Bronze medal goes to a creature that looks like it walks straight out of a sci-fi horror movie, the Japanese spider crab. These massive arthropods have the largest leg span of any arthropod on Earth, up to 12 feet from claw to claw. That's longer than 2 average humans lying head to toe. If one of these showed up at your beach day, you'd probably think aliens had finally invaded. Japanese spider crabs can weigh up to 42 pounds and live for up to 100 years. They're basically the ocean's version of that immortal grandparent who refuses to die and keeps showing showing up to family reunions. Despite their terrifying appearance, they're actually pretty docile scavengers that feed primarily on dead fish and animal matter on the seafloor. Their long, spindly legs help them navigate the rough underwater terrain of the Pacific Ocean around Japan. And here's something both cool and disturbing: they practice self-amputation. If a predator grabs one of their legs, they can detach it at a special joint and escape. The leg will eventually grow back, but it takes time and several molts. Speaking of molting, when these crabs shed their exoskeletons, they leave behind a perfect empty shell of themselves that looks exactly like a giant spider crab goat. People sometimes find these empty molts washed up on beaches in Japan, probably causing countless heart attacks. Silver medal in our weird sea creature Olympics goes to a fish that's so ugly it named itself after death. The coffin fish, also known as the sea toad, this bizarre bottom dweller uses modified fins to walk along the seafloor rather than swimming. Imagine if your grandpa refused to drive and instead crawled everywhere on all fours. That's the coffin fish's whole vibe. They grow to about 1 foot long and have this incredibly unique defense mechanism. When threatened, they suck water into their bodies and inflate like a spiky balloon, increasing their size by up to 30%. It's the underwater equivalent of puffing out your chest and trying to look big when confronted by a bully. Don't mess with me, I'm huge. Well, temporarily huge. Coffin fish have specially modified fins that act like little feet, allowing them to walk across the seafloor hunting for crustaceans and other small prey. They're ambush predators that can lie perfectly still for hours, waiting for an unsuspecting meal to pass by. But perhaps the weirdest thing about the coffin fish is the fishing rod-like appendage on its head called an elysium. This specialized dorsal spine has a glowing lure at the tip that the coffin fish uses to attract prey in the dark depths where it lives. It's basically fishing. While being a fish, talk about career confusion. And finally, our number one weirdest sea creature you've probably never seen, the big fin squid, also known as the long-armed squid. This deep-sea cephalopod is the stuff of nightmares and has only been spotted a handful of times by remote underwater vehicles. The first video footage wasn't captured until 2001, and marine biologists are still freaking out about it. What makes the big fin squid so bizarre are its arms or tentacles, or whatever you want to call those impossibly long appendages. These elastic-like limbs can grow up to 26 feet long, creating an otherworldly silhouette that looks more alien than anything on Earth. Imagine swimming in the deep ocean and seeing what looks like a floating puppet with endless strings reaching down into the darkness below. The big fin squid has been spotted at depths between 3,000 and 15,000 feet, making it one of the deepest dwelling squids known to science. Its body is relatively small, only about 1 foot long, but those tentacles are so disproportionately massive that scientists still don't fully understand how it uses them. The leading theory is that the squid spreads its arms out like a net and then drags them along the seafloor, catching tiny organisms that get stuck to the sticky surface of its tentacles. It's basically fishing with a web made of its own body. And here's the creepiest part. Scientists think these squids might be quite common in the deep ocean, but we almost never see them because they inhabit a part of the ocean we've explored less than the surface of Mars. That's right, there could be thousands of these alien-looking creatures just floating around in the darkness beneath us. Next time you're swimming in the ocean and something brushes against your leg, just remember, it's probably not any of these creatures. Probably. If you enjoyed learning about these bizarre underwater aliens, smash that like button and subscribe for more videos that will make you question whether Earth is actually the weirdest planet in the universe. Drop a comment letting me know which creature freaked you out the most. I'm betting it's either the inside-out vampire squid or those endless tentacles on the big fin squid. And stay tuned for next week when we'll be looking at animals that could survive the apocalypse. Spoiler alert, cockroaches aren't even in the top 3. See you in the next one.